I want to talk to you today about our efforts at comprehensive immigration reform. As you know, it's not the first time that we have attempted to address this issue. Ted Kennedy and I tried very hard back in 2007, as you know, in 2006, and we didn't succeed, and the reasons for that are many. But I believe that there's been a change in attitude since then amongst the American people. I think to a large degree, Americans believe that if a person who has come to this country illegally, pays their back taxes, learns English, does all the things necessary to rectify the illegal act of coming to this country, then, like all of us who have sinned or broken the law from one time or another, then we should put that behind us. But I also want to emphasize that most Americans believe very strongly that they should get in line behind others who have come to this country legally and waited legally. I think that's fair. But I also think that a permanent legal status should be granted, and that's part of our plan. And then we have to have a effective operational control of our border. I want to be careful how I state that. And then those people should be eligible, those individuals should be placed on the path to citizenship. Now, our immigration system is broken, as you know. 11 million people are living in this country in the shadows. We have been too content for too long to allow individuals to live and work in our communities, to mow our lawns, service food, clean our homes, and even watch our children while not affording them any of the benefits that make our country so great. I think everyone agrees here. I think everyone here agrees it's not beneficial for our country to have these people hidden in the shadows. Let's create a system to bring them forward, allow them to settle their debt to society, and fulfill the necessary requirement to become law-abiding citizens of the country. This is consistent with our country's tradition of being a nation of laws and a nation of immigrants. We have to ensure that everyone that qualifies for legal status will have a tough path to earn a green card and eventually citizenship. To earn a chance for a green card, we'll require them, as I mentioned, to pay a fine, pay back taxes, learn English, and get in the back of the line behind people who are currently waiting. None of the 11 million legalized immigrants will have access to benefits provided under the Affordable Care Act, Medicaid, Medicare, or any other entitlement until they receive a green card. We will put in place a legal worker program to provide a humane and effective system that allows immigrant workers to enter the country without seeking the aid of human traffickers or drug cartels. Any immigration legislation that passes Congress must establish practical legal channels for workers to enter the United States, whether they're high skill, low skill, or agriculture workers, so we can free up federal officials to focus on those individuals truly intending to do our nation harm through drug smuggling, people trafficking, and possibly terrorism. And let me expand just for a moment, and I hope that you'll put this item on your agenda, and that's the issue of drugs. My friends, today as we speak, there are people sitting on mountains from the Sonoran, Arizona border up to Tucson and up to Phoenix, where drugs are distributed throughout the country. Now, you and I know the facts, and we ought to be very, very candid about it. As long as there's a demand for drugs, there's going to be a supply for drugs. And we need to have a national conversation about drugs and the fact that in many parts of our country, amongst many sectors of our population, that demand is increasing rather than decreasing. We need to have that national conversation. I can make sure that we can have effective control of our borders. But I can't assure you that we can have real control of our borders when there's a demand, and they'll go by ultralight, they'll come by submarine, they'll dig tunnels, they'll do anything to get these drugs across if there's a demand for it. So please begin that national conversation as to what we need to do to keep our children from succumbing to this terrible scourge that destroys so many of our fellow citizens. And by the way, the people in this room are the best qualified to have that conversation with our citizens. We need to provide an expedited path to citizenship for the so-called dreamers, the children those who were brought here as children, as you know, and had no choice in the matter. So there has to be an expedited path to citizenship for them. I would remind you, and this is a very important part of our conversation, is that 40% of the people who are in this country illegally didn't cross our border illegally. They came to this country with a visa, and that visa has expired. Now that argues strongly for drying up that magnet that brings people to this country illegally and are hired. We have to have a tamper-proof Social Security card, and fines and punishment for employers who knowingly hire someone who's in this country illegally. Those employers need to have a verification system so that they can make the right decision on people who come to them for a job. Now, on the street in Nogales, Sonora today, you can probably buy a birth certificate for $50, $60, something like that. We need tamper-proof Social Security card so that employers can verify those who come and seek jobs that are indeed in this country legally. That's got to be an important part of this equation, because when the word spreads throughout the world that if you come to this country illegally and there's not going to be a job for you, then that has the obvious effect. We are working together, 8 of us, believe it or not, Republican and Democrat. We are working together. I still can't stand them, but we are working together as easy. We're working together as friends and associates and people that I have been involved in and worked with for many, many years together. I am guardedly confident that we can reach an agreement that the overwhelming majority of the American people will support. I hope that you are the closest to the people. And what you can do for us and for this country is when we reach an agreement, and I am guardedly confident that we will, that you will examine that agreement as carefully as possible. And if you agree and support it, then help us carry the message. The message is that we are a Judeo-Christian based nation, and we love all of our fellow human beings. And for people to be kept in drop houses in these terrible conditions, for people to be terribly abused as they're brought across the border by coyotes is unacceptable in a country like ours. That we have to show the greatness and strength and the humanity and the love and the care that this nation was based on and founded on. And that is the legacy of those who came before us. And that is the legacy that we need to hand to our children and our grandchildren. This above all is an issue of what kind of nation we are. I happen to believe, as you do, that this is the greatest and most humane experiment ever carried out on earth. And I believe that your involvement, your engagement, your support will be vital to us convincing the American people that time has come for comprehensive immigration reform. Thank you, and God bless.